here. So guys, good afternoon. My name is Viswanatha Swamy, and I work at Applied Information Sciences, and I play around .NET, a little bit of Angular, Node.js, Mongo, different things. And recently I started learning a lot of things on gRPC. So I'm doing series of sessions on gRPC. So the session will be purely hands-on. A lot of things has already covered, and this will go purely on the hands-on mode, like how to create a gRPC, and then what are the different types of clients we can have for this gRPC, and what has changed, the new thing which they have introduced as gRPC web, and how to incorporate that gRPC web. And once you incorporate gRPC web, what is changing in the equation? How do we talk to that particular endpoint? So that's how we'll take this journey. And so there are parking lots. We can keep the parking lots, which if I'm not able to answer now, I'll get back to you on the meetup group or somewhere where I can post it. And the tools used is Visual Studio 2019 Professional, Azure Data Studio, and SQL Server. So Data Studio is the one which I use for that. Instead of SQL Server management, I use this cross-platform tool. And that's it. So I think I have kept this slide and code. Everything is there, checked in the GitHub. Swaminathan will share this. So all the things are there. You'll get every piece of this thing. So let's go get into this working. So I'll explain few things. Right now, the project or the solution will not be in a compilable state. So I have spoiled it so that we can build it from scratch. Okay, so just to speed up the time, I did few things. I just created few of the layers which we use it. And what are we going to do today? So today we are going to build a simple REST Web API and test its endpoint using the Postman. And the next thing what we are going to do is we are going to build a gRPC service, and we are going to test this particular gRPC service with different types of .NET Core clients. One is the .NET Core console application, and .NET Core Web API client, .NET Core Windows Forms, and .NET Core Worker Service. Okay, so Nish has already told he spoke about this Windows Form Designer, and here is that you can practically see that how it looks and how this .NET Core Windows form will talk to the gRPC. So then the new thing what has come in, once we test this one, what's the new thing which has come in is the gRPC web. So we'll incorporate this gRPC web here in this, and then we'll quickly switch to the Blazor WASM, and then we will make a lot of changes at this point of time. We only have the default hello world, whatever is being provided, and then we'll start incorporating. We'll start changing these pages, this index, and go talk to this one of the hello world thing, and and then we will go change. We'll add two more Razor components here. One will go talk to the web API to get the content, and the second component, the same component, the second component will go talk to the gRPC server. So essentially, we are showing that how do you communicate using the REST, and how do you communicate using the gRPC web. So that's how we're covering an entire spectrum, like REST, gRPC with different kinds of clients, gRPC web, and the Blazor WASM, and how do you communicate this one. Okay, so let's quickly see this. What are there in these layers? So there is Steve, one of the author. I read his article and inspired, and I did this. So he suggests that you can move everything into a single file and use a subclass so that you know that why these variables are used. So that's one constant is there, and have few entities. So weather forecast, professor, student, and address. So professor, student, and address are the tables tables here. Professor, students, and address book are the tables. These are the entities, and weather forecast is hard-coded information, but I moved it to the centralized location, so we don't need to maintain these entities in different location. Okay, and what else we have in the core? Core we have couple of interfaces. So let me concentrate on the professors of the college university program. So I professor BLL business logic layer and the data access layer. So these has got a few methods which are there, and we'll see that how it works in a moment. Okay, that's the thing which is there in the core. And what is there in the data access layer? Data access layer is simple persistence. Under the persistence folder, I have a simple EF core DB context. And if you see in the DB set, the left side one, all are the entities which is coming from the core application core project. And the right side of this DB sets are the tables, which are one-on-one mapping with these tables. Exact names are there. Okay, and it has got this Professor Dal, the data access layer, and it has got the logger and the DB context, which are getting dependency injected. And it has got three methods. All we are doing is talking to the DB context. We are saving and we are retrieving all the professors, and we are retrieving the professors by ID. And let's come back to the business logic layer. What is there in this business logic layer? And again, if you see that the same method, the business logic layer has got a dependency on the logger as well as the data access layer. And it just invokes the data access layer and retrieves the content and spits it out. And the other component which I have it, let me minimize all these things so that I'll get extra space to talk. So other component I have is this client apps common. So where I just created a constants and I created some reusable a reusable thing. One is a pretty simple thing, nothing complex. That the one which just creates a random number, and just to have a different names instead of we hard coding the names, I'm generating some names like this. So it creates some random name based on the length. Okay, and here in this address, it again creates some random address. So that is coming from this constants here. So if you see this some flat number and some random apartments and some random street in Hyderabad. So that's the address it just generates. Okay, that's pretty much about the infrastructure what we have. So now let's come back and let's start building one by one. And the first thing what we will do is we will go ahead and execute this guy and see what is there in this. And let's start building in. Let's give that a moment. And if it is not working, I think I need to fix it. But if it works well and good, okay. So the weather forecast is coming in here. So let's start building in this components. There's nothing in this. So I already created a full working solution. So I will start stealing bits and pieces of this code, and we will build everything from scratch. Okay, I have a few windows here. One of the window is REST Web API. Instead of me going and executing it from the Visual Studio, I use this console sometimes. So the other one is for the gRPC service, and one we have the Web API REST client. Okay, so we have few tools. So let's start building in. I'll minimize this. So let's go to this Web API. Now, if you see that the separation of concerns as well as the reusability is getting emphasized here. So if you see this, the infrastructure which we built, we use the same infrastructure to build the Web API as well as the gRPC server. We don't create anything new. All the libraries which we created, we use the same libraries. And separation of concerns also, we moved it to different things. Okay, let's get going so that we can see the difference with this REST Web API and the gRPC, and then we'll proceed to the gRPC web. Okay, so let me quickly one more point I would like to highlight here is, so if you see the the connection strings. We are not storing any connection strings here. So if you come into this project solution, you can see this GUID here. So the user secrets has been maintained. So if you come into this, the GUID number 92A8. So 92A8 is here. So this is the secrets file. So I'm maintaining the connection string here. So even we are in some other mode, we never know that when we are going to check in our username password. So that's a best practice to use the secrets, but please have this provisioned here. So the guys who are doing the release, they know that they have to provision this. So that's one tip here. And the next thing is we need to start creating those controllers. Okay, the first thing is we have to nuke this because we already had that here in this core. In this entities, we have this weather forecast. We'll fix those issues, whatever is coming. So let me go and open that in the file explorer. Let me drop the files and we'll talk. We'll talk on this. I open up this one and let me go to my API here and open this up in a separate file explorer so that I can easily steal code. I get this controller, I grab this process controller and drop it here. We can close this. I'll close this so that I have to worry about only these two things. Okay, cool then. So I'm dropping it here. So this is our solution. Let's come and see what are we doing in here. So if you see this, we have two controllers. One is the weather forecast, and another one is the process controller. And we have to. There are a lot of squigglies. We'll fix it in next 5 minutes. We'll fix every squiggly. So the first thing what we have to do is we'll go and add project reference. So let me go and add the project reference of this, the business logic layer, the application core, and the data layer. So once we add that, most of the squigglies will get vanished. And this guy might troubling. So we'll do a control dot, and this will bring in from there. So all the squigglies are gone. So let's quickly go through that code, and we'll understand the dependency injection, and we'll see the service container, how it loads, and how do we hook up all these moving pieces. We'll see that in a moment. Okay. So this controller is pretty simple. It gives hard-coded information. And here the process controller, we have three methods. One is get all. It gets all the professors in the table. And this it gets get professor by ID. Okay, these two things are there. Okay, so let's see that in action. So 1 minute. This is done. Okay, so this has got a dependency on the logger as well as iProfessor BLL. And once we go to that business logic layer, here we have the professor business logic layer that has got a dependency on the data access layer. So when we come to this one, we have this data access layer here, and this data access layer has got a dependency on the DB context. So that's the chain of dependencies. So we need to hook this up everything so that things will start working. Okay, so that we do it here, and we'll do that in a moment. And let me quickly go here and see this startup. So the first thing what we hook up is we'll hook up this. We'll come back to this afterwards. Once it fail, then we'll come back. Let it fail. So we'll do a lot of mistakes and we'll learn from the mistakes. Okay, so first thing what we are doing is we are adding the DB context as a dependency, and then this professor business logic and the data access both are we are doing it. And now I'm bringing in all those DB context and everything. So it will start removing all these squigglies. We need to install the NuGet package. So I will take shortcut just to save the time. Let's just give me a moment. I'll take the shortcuts. Okay, so I'll quickly go in here and grab this guy. the NuGet, grab this guy, the NuGet package, and drop in here. I'll grab this, the entire NuGet package. I mean, I can open that the NuGet package and do it, but just to save some time, I'm doing this. Okay, so that's the thing. So everything is done. So afterwards, it I just go grab this guy, and I think I can build this one solution, and it is building up. So give that a minute. Give that a minute, and let it build. Okay, cool. It has built now. So what we can do is, just to see only one method, we will place the debugger, and before that, if you see these two controllers, the API, the route for this professor's controller is /API/controller, and for this weather, it is directly going in the controller. So to make it unify, I do it this, and then I need to come into this properties in the launch settings where it is launching the weather. I just mark it like this so that it will not trouble us. It will be in the unified way. Okay, so that's pretty much. I think we should be able to go and test this guy, uh, the REST web API. Let me start an instance here, and just for one small thing, we need to understand how this entire dependency is built. So we will see two different things. We will see that how is this container getting built, and how is the entire chain is getting built. So I'll put a debugger in this controller, then I'll come back and put a debugger inside this professor's business logic layer, and I drop a debugger inside this data access layer, and then I uh, place a debugger here in the DB context. So this is our entire chain. Okay, so we have built everything. So I think that's coming in here. So let me go grab this guy, go to this postman, and drop this here. I just click on that weather forecast, and then it's bringing in. And now we want to do it the professors. The moment we hit the professor, it's coming. See this directly, it came to the DB context. This is because this is the last man standing in the chain. So it first constructs this DB context, and then this guy will come to the data access layer. Then it constructs this data access layer. Then it comes to the business logic layer. Then it constructs the business logic layer. Then it comes to the controller. And from controller, it goes and hits the method, and it gets all the content. It's going and talking to all the layers, bringing in the bunch of professors we have in the table, and it flushes out. Okay, so it gives all this one. You can see this F3EE. So that's one of the record. It should exist here. F3EE. So that's there. Okay, so while doing this, we have to see one more. The obvious question we should get it is, okay, Swami, you told that the construction is happening, but where is this? How is this framework getting? Knowing that I have to inject this particular guy. So that's we will see in a moment. Okay, let me remove all these things so that we can focus on that piece, how the things are getting injected, who holds everything. For that, let me close everything and open the startup here, so that we don't need to discuss this while we are doing there in the while we are doing it in gRPC. Okay, let me execute one more time this one. So I will start this, and that's pretty much our web API. So let's wait on the construction. Okay, it has come in here. So let's go and see this services. I do a shift F9. Now you see this, there are 157 dependencies. You can click this and result view. We will see that in a moment. So I do 157. I do an F10 and F10. And now I go back to this services here. Now it is 160. So it has added 3 more dependencies into this container. So let's navigate to the bottom of this. It might take a few seconds, and then we'll see that. You can see that at the bottom. Now, sometimes it takes time to show that. Let me stop it and once again do an Shift F9. Sometimes the result view, it is taking some time to show what each object is, the names. Technically, it will show every name. What is the name which is there? Service collection. Okay, we'll see. We'll come back and we'll see that it was 160. Now I'm doing two more things I'm adding, and on top of 160, it has added two more dependencies. So all the dependencies will be in this container. So you can see these names here. Now it is flashing out. So if you can slowly scroll down, and we should be able to see our application dependencies which we have added apart from the dependencies which are related to the framework. You can see that every dependency is here. So you can see the DB context options and the college DB context and iProfessor BLL and iProfessor data access layer. So all the dependencies are getting hooked up here in this service container. So that's how it knows that when someone is asking for a constructor dependency injection, it knows that from which container it should retrieve and inject. And also while doing the construction of that object, it knows that what are its dependencies. So it goes all the way to the chain till the last man standing, and it knows that how to build it. Okay, so that's a quick run through this how to build this this one REST API. So let's park this REST API guy and let's focus on. Now we saw that moving pieces. Now we'll build the gRPC server. So what is there in this gRPC server is, let me run one instance of this gRPC server and we'll see that it has got the same hello world. It has got the same hello world of greet thing. So it's nothing in there. We'll see that, and it doesn't have anything except this proto. Okay, cool. So one thing we'll do one small change to see that some kind of information from the gRPC logging. I enable this gRPC debug in this app settings. Let me come and drop in here. Now we see the difference. Let me switch this as a startup project so that it will be easy for me to run. So the moment I execute this, you can see that previously it didn't display. Now it will showcase that. Let me do a clean. Sometimes it doesn't pick up from here. It will pick up from here. Yeah, that's the reason. It has got that. That is the reason it was not showing in. Because it was taking development one as a higher precedence. So you can see this. Now the gRPC is spitting some of this information, and it is clearly showing that there is a unary messaging on, and currently it is having this say hello. It has already loaded. Okay. So now let's start building our real-time one, which goes and does some job in the database. Okay. So we'll come back and see this. Just want to give a quick glance. So this is how we will expose that endpoint, but we will come and religiously do that. Okay. So for that, I will switch back to my already baked in solution, and then come back here so that we can start stealing in. Then we can see the difference between REST and gRPC. So that's all. I just created it here in this. We have all the information I've given. So one small thing here, once we develop this gRPC, let's wait for a minute and see why do we use REST, when do we use this, when do we use REST and when do we use gRPC. We'll talk on that in a moment. So first, let's go ahead and build this guy. So I'm coming in here. We don't have protos. We'll discuss about what protos are and everything. First, let me steal some piece of code. and then we'll start discussing. Okay, so I'm dropping in this Protos file, and then I need to go to the services. I'll steal some services from here, and once this is stolen, we can talk now. Okay, so actually what is proto? So this is the contract. If you see this, the REST web API, you know that you have exposed few endpoints, and you tell that this is my endpoint, and I'm expecting a JSON, and I'm going to give you some output as a JSON or XML or whatever the media type which we agree between the client and server. But there is no fixed contract, like I have to pass these many fields. I can't pass more fields, or I can't pass less fields. But here it is a strict contract saying that I'm expecting this. So you can't send anything more than this. Okay, that's one piece. So what is there in this proto file? Its proto file is a contract. It's an interface definition language, and right now we are using the version 3 of the proto. And these are some of this. We'll come and discuss about this one. So if you see that there are 3 RPC methods, remote procedure call methods, which we are exposing, that we are calling it as add professor, get professor by ID, get all professors. And each of this method is accepting some input, and it is sending some output. So this service is the one which is called, which will become a class. We'll see that in a moment. And if you see that something, we are calling it as a message. What does this message mean? The message is something, I mean, if you think on a very layman terms, it's just a class. Something goes into the method, and something comes out of the method. So it's purely think that it's a class. And what are these numbers? Are these the values which we are assigning? No, these are ordinal numbers, or positions, like similar to an employee ID. You're giving uniquely recognizing that. Why do we need this ordinal positions? We'll see that in a moment. Hang on. Huh? And if you see that we have void methods. So that means we are telling that I'm not going to accept any parameters, or I'm not going to give you any output. So that we have to explicitly mention it using that port buff empty. Okay, and in gRPC, this the timestamp will be little different, and we have to do an to and from conversion from this gRPC port buff timestamp to C# date and timestamps. That's for any language, whichever it is using. So how does that look? If you come in here and see one of this post request, if you see this in the body, that date of birth is it will be looking like this. How this the date, Google's port of date time is generated is it generates on these 2 pieces of information. It generates based on the nanos and seconds. Okay, and in C# we will have this date, month, year, or a lot of parameters we pass: date, month, year, and the Z symbol, UTC format, or the hours, minute, second. We do a lot, but here it's fixed. It depends on these 2 parameters. Okay, you can browse it to know more about it. Okay, so let's see this. One more big piece we will see this is the new thing. What we will see here is something known as repeated. Like if I want to send IEnumerable, if you compare this with the method, there's a method which we wrote it here. I'm saying that I want to send this IEnumerable of professor. So it's similar to that. That means I'm telling that the professor's field inside this class is the repeat. That means one or more of this response. So that means it's a collection. Okay, something like a collection or IEnumerable. You can compare with that. Okay, so these are all the things which are there. Okay, and then the next big piece is if you select any of these things and press F4, so you see that the build action. Okay, so the build action is it is the port buff compiler. If you see that the default one, the greeter, let's select the default one, greeter, and if you do an F4, you can see that the port buff compiler, it knows that okay, there is a proto file, and I know what I have to do with this proto file. I will create the server components, and there are multiple things in here. So you can create server based on your use case, and you can create client, and you can create server and client or you can create only messages. So that depends upon what is your use case. Suppose in our case, if you see that this server is explicitly acting as a server, it doesn't act as a client. So I will generate only the server components. There are other guys who will act as a client, and they will grab only the client. We'll see that in a moment, how to do that. Huh? There are a scenario where this one particular process or an executable or a project that itself will act as a server as well as a client. So that's a different use case I have showcased in some other demo. Now let's come back and see this. Now, when I come back to this college API, there is no action. It didn't recognize that. So why? That means you can do two ways. You can come in and add an entry here. So we'll do that way, or we can come in and do it from here. We can come in here and you can tell that, hey, recognize this and generate only server component. I don't want the client component. Okay. So now once you do that, you can come back and see that it automatically adds an entry. Suppose if you are working in Visual Studio Code where you don't have this kind of tooling, what you can do is you can happily go and modify that CS project hand coded, and you can tell in like this. So that's also valid. Now that you already done that, now if you come back to F4, it clearly recognizes this. So there are two methods. You can select it properties and go and change it, or you can come and make a modification here. Okay, the two ways to do that. Okay, and once that is done, there are few squigglies here. We'll come back and fix all those squigglies in a moment. Let's hang on here. Let's learn some more fundamentals before we jump in further. And let me quickly go and build this guy. There might be a lot of errors, but we will fix every error. So as I mentioned, starting of this session, we'll do a lot of mistakes and we'll learn from our mistakes. Okay, good. We are getting a lot of exceptions. I really love that. The more we get exception, the more we learn. So show all files. So get into this OBJ and get into this debug and .NET. And here you see this, there are two things. Here you can see this greet gRPC, greet, college gRPC, college API, and address book gRPC, address book. So what are these files? Who generated it? So the tooling knows that the moment you add proto, it knows what you have to do, and you are clearly instructing it what you have to do. You're saying that I want only the server components. I want only the client. I want both client and server, or I want only the messages. So we are instructing the tooling, and rest of the things tooling is taking care. Right. Let's dig a little bit deeper into this for a moment. I will double click this guy. When you double click this guy and go and check in here, so this college service, can see that. The college service is the service. You can do a one-on-one mapping there. Okay, and namespace college server dot protos, that's we have given here the namespace college gRPC server proto. That's the namespace, and this is the service which you have given in your proto file here. And then slowly scroll a little bit down, but do not modify, please. Then you will have a sleepless night. And what it does is, based on our instructions in the proto, it creates a abstract class. So that abstract class is called as, it will call with this name, college service base. Okay. So, and what is there in this college API? And if you expand this college API, the moment you see reflection, you should understand that, okay, it's doing some kind of transformation to and from. So what is that transformation? Let's dig in a little bit into that. Let's touch upon. You can see this new professor request, and we saw that we are giving the ordinal position here. Like name is 1, the date of joining is 2, teaches 3, salary and PhD. Now you can come and you can check that it writes some instruction because it has to convert from the object to binary, and this binary get transmitted in HTTP to SSL and TSL. So it should know that from which portion to which portion belongs in this binary, or from which portion from this binary belongs to this property. So that's the reason you have this ordinal field, and which is used by the gRPC to do this transformation from object to binary and binary to object. Okay, I think now we have built enough of foundation. We know that, okay, what happens when we do a proto, and what kind of files it generates, and the tooling generates, and where you have to specifically give the instruction. Either you do it here in the CS proj file, hand coded, or you go it to the properties and do that, right? So once that is done, let's quickly come back to the services and let's fix all the squigglies. So we need these guys. So let me go grab these reusable components, the common business logic layer, application core, and the data access layer. Boom. We accessed it. The moment we do that, all the squigglies are gone. And let's see that did we have any loose ends? Why? Okay, that's gone. And this is gone. Okay. Now let me quickly rebuild this. And the most common thing we do is we'll do the same mistake and we'll come back and learn this mistake. So we saw that this works good. Okay. So let's go and run this guy for a moment. And let's go and run this guy for a moment. And this is before they introduced gRPC web. Now you see this at this point of time, just that we are splitting the debug. It says that only greeter gRPC is loaded. So that means it is recognizing only the greeter gRPC. It's not recognizing the new services which we have exposed. So again, we need to come back to this startup and start hooking up this one. Okay, let's do it in a moment so that we can see the gRPC service in action. So I'll come back here. So there are different school of thoughts. This is how I'm doing it. So some people, they expose it in a different way. This I configuration. So I go grab this guy I configuration, and we need the SQL Server NuGet package. So let's the easiest way is for me to is just do steal this line and drop it instead of opening that wizard or the NuGet reference, the command line PowerShell. So this I feel very comfortable. It's a personal choice. And we need to come back here. We already have this. So that we'll have this one. I mean, you see that nowhere I'm storing the connection strings. Everything is coming from the user secrets. Okay. So even in some other mode, we never know that when we will check in the connection string and it's not secret anymore. Okay. Entire world knows that. And mostly we will be checking into the GitHub, and we are losing that. Okay. So jokes apart, let me come back here. And I'm keeping it. Let's do the mistake and come back and learn the mistakes from the mistakes. So this is the dependency injection. I think we have spent enough time to understand what is the service container and how the dependency is getting injected. Okay, I think we'll not go on this just to save some time. And the next big piece, what we do is we need to add these two services. So this is before the gRPC web has been introduced. Okay, let me bring it back to the previous state. And okay, I do this. Okay, so once that is done, okay, let's start removing these squigglies. And this is coming from the application core. And this is coming from the persistence. And this is coming from the application core interfaces. And this is coming from the business logic layer, and this is coming from the data access layer. Cool. And all the squigglies are gone, and this is coming from the EF core. Cool. That's pretty much. And these two things are coming from the services inside the project. Now if you step back for a moment and see the advantages of moving the into the reusable components, separating the concerns. See this, if you let me minimize this piece and expand this and expand it. So just for a moment, if you see this, how quickly we were able to build the web API and how quickly we were able to build the gRPC server. We didn't sweat at all because we know that these libraries exist, and I'm building this web API as well as the gRPC server on the infrastructure. This is a reusable component. I didn't write anything. Now, if you see this in this web API, all I have to focus or concern only on this controllers. What REST endpoints I should execute, I should expose, and how to code it. Now, if you come to this gRPC server, all I need to concern is only about the how I can write this protos, how I can expose my gRPC service. Nothing else I need to focus on. Cool then. So that's it. So let's execute this and let's play around different kinds of clients in .NET. Okay. So let me execute this guy for a moment and okay, I'll execute this guy. And cool. Okay. Now, if you see that, come back and you see this. Now it is recognizing all those services. So it recognized the greeter has got say hello. Now the college service has got add professors, get professor by ID, get all professors, and the address book has got add address. So it is recognizing. Perfect. We are happy on that. And now let's come back to this clients. So the different kind of clients. So I just wanted to showcase how it looks if you are communicating. If you are communicating with this, we have seen this slide also, and how a console application can become a client, and how a Windows Forms .NET Core. It's all on .NET Core. So how a Windows Forms can become a client to the gRPC, how a worker service can become a client to the gRPC, how a existing existing web API can become a client to the gRPC. So so if you see, if you step back and ask one question, like if you see this REST API and REST API, gRPC and GraphQL. So the obvious question is, who's winning the race? And no, no one is winning the race. Everyone has got it, their own use case. Why do you have to use? So if you go search articles, it says that the REST is best suited for this CRUD operations. Okay. And if you see this gRPC, it just best suits for extremely low powered situation or a server to server communication. You have some microservices in one data center and you have few other microservices in another data center, and they want to communicate with each other. And the security, because the information is going out of one data center going into another data center, we have SSL and TSL and traverse over HTTP. And another use case is gRPC. If you see this slide, the supported languages, I took it from the gRPC official website. I took it from this website. You can see the C, C++, C Sharp, Dart, Go, Java, lot many, Node.js, and Python or Ruby. More things are coming in. Now imagine a situation, when can I use gRPC? Like in this situation, like the company A and company B, they want to integrate, or company A has acquired company B, mergers, acquisitions, or a lot of other scenarios where one guys are working on Windows and on C Sharp specialization, and the other company, company B, they are working on Mac OS and they work on Go, and the company C, they work on Linux and Python. These kind of combination. Now everyone has to stick to the contract, the proto file. That's a Bible. So in these kind of scenarios also we can use. And if you see this GraphQL, it best suits for bringing in a lot of data. So no one is winning the race. So everyone has got their own use case. Okay, when we should use it. Okay, and let's come back here, and you can see this okay, there are different thoughts. Here is a proto file. I can literally copy this proto file from here and paste it into this project. So by doing this, what happens is I have to maintain it twice. If I do one change here, I have to do the same change here. So instead, what we can do is we can go to this add connected services. And here in this connected services, it shows that add the gRPC. So we can click on add and select this gRPC, click on next, and go and browse the file. Where the file is there, you can go search, and in this gRPC, in this server, you can have the proto, you can select this file. And the moment you select that file, you can instruct it what we have to do. So here you can see this. I want to generate the client. I want to generate the server or client and server or message only. Message only, there it is also a valid scenario, because sometimes in Protos what we do is we expose some enums or some classes which is common for multiple projects. In that scenario, we don't have any methods. All we have is only the messages. Okay. So that's I have already created. So this we are going to reuse. We are not going to build anything, so that we'll get extra time to focus on gRPC web and Blazor WASM. So this is already done. And we'll spend only 1 second on this one to quickly go and see what is the difference when we do. This is purely the reflection which we have already seen there in length. The reflection, the message is, if you see, it's a purely class. Um, if you ask me in a layman term, I'm telling that it's just a class, public class. Okay. And here, if you see this, coming to this, again, the namespace and everything is same. And there it creates an abstract class. Here it creates a partial class, and here it is calling it as a gRPC college service client. Okay. Now you understand how it creates the server components and how it creates a client component. And how do we communicate from clients to the server? Is this we use this method um, where we go talk, where we first create this instance. We do this gRPC channel for address. We'll give this address, and then we'll use that client which has been created using the tool and pass this channel. Okay. So I just exposed it as a property there, so that I don't need to create again and again. Suppose if I have multiple methods, one thing I'm creating a professor, or I'm reading a professor, I'm reading all professors. There are different things which I can do. So I don't need to create this multiple times. All I create once and use it. And if you see this app settings, we have in which port, what is the FQDN of this, I have used it there. So let's quickly check all these things. Only for one thing we will place the debugger just to save time. And rest of all those clients, we can directly go and see what is the delta between this and rest, and we will test it. So what is the method which I'm testing it in this? We have it add new professor. Okay. So let me place the debugger in this add new professor. Okay, add professor. I will purely come back here, and we already seen that dependency injection container and everything. We have seen it. I think that's pretty much. So let me execute this guy. Okay, so it's there. So let me come back here and drop a debugger point here and execute this guy. Debug, start new instance, and we go. It will hit this debugger point, right? We are on right on this one, and this is a professor request. It starts with ZHAE, so that's a name, and I just click on F10. I press the F10, then it's coming into this gRPC service. And from an, I just want to shift F11. I want to jump out of this, go back to the client. So I'm back in the client, and in the client it has added. And the professor ID, you can see this E54 E6. So let's quickly come back here and run this. That's this guy. A record has been created. Okay, so that's how we communicate with this. That's how we communicate with this. So do you want to create a new professor? No, I'm not interested. So thanks for. So that's done. So let's stop this and come back to the console so that we can save some time instead of clicking on this. So I just named it, this is a REST Web API, and this is the gRPC service. Okay, I'm in here and I do a .NET run. And so there is a terminal. I just keep it aside. So let it start. So we can go and test rest of the things in here. Okay. So now the gRPC is running. So let's quickly come back here and close this guy. Now we see one difference between this. We are improvising. We are doing some mistakes and learning from our previous mistakes. So if you come in here and see here I have added it as a property here, and we made little bit of improvement. Let's see this Windows Forms first. And here we just created an helper class. So whatever the piece of lines which are here, we just moved it to one helper class. It's nothing, it's doing nothing more than that. Okay, so that it becomes very easy. Our life becomes very easy when we come into this Windows Forms. For some reason, this takes few seconds time when it has to show the designer. So it becomes very easy for us to create this client and use it, because it creates once and it uses multiple times. So now that the things are ready, so we can I can go ahead and start this guy. So we can test the second client. The first client we tested uh, .NET Core console application. Now this is .NET Core Windows Forms. Okay, so X, this is the name, and it gives the ID also. I'll place this two windows aside so that we can see. Uh, okay, so I said that is PhD is false. I just clicked on save. You see that the request has come in here and it has created 41F3. So can quickly come and check this guy. 41F3, that record has been created. So this is the second flavor of client. There are host number of opportunities. There you can create a .NET Core web app and have that as a Windows this gRPC client. .NET Core with Angular, that you can have it. That I showcased in some other demo. And that's the second flavor we tested it. And there is another flavor is this one, Web API client. And this Web API client is again same. It has got this proto and it has got this helper class. And I exposed a controller. And this controller is going and talking to the talking to this gRPC. This is another channel where we are talking through. Okay, this is again the same kind of use case, like two different companies talking to each other, and one exposed the gRPC, other they have the existing REST web API, and instead of creating new solution or new project, all I can do is create this web API as a client to the gRPC and start exposing the REST web endpoints, so others can come and hit this endpoint. So that's one of the use case. So let's quickly test this guy. We'll go and start this REST Web API. And then we'll switch to gRPC Web. Okay, so it's coming on 510. Okay, 5010. So let me go on this 5010 and just you can see this. We'll place this here, and I want to place this guy little so that you can see this. It's going through that channel, and I'll place it here. I'll say the send request. Now it is first going to that API, and from API it is hitting the gRPC server. So we are coming through that channel. I think the other one is the worker service. I will just pause here so that we can focus more on the gRPC web. Okay, so now we have seen. Technically, we didn't execute this worker client. It's doing nothing new, except that it is every 3 seconds it goes and adds a new record to the data store. That's what it is doing. But it is another flavor of the client. I just have it in the solution, so you'll get it. These are 4 clients to the existing gRPC. Now the new thing is this gRPC web, which has come in pretty recently. So if you can see this June 20th, there was a blog on this one. So how do you expose the gRPC web, and how can the web browsers can talk to this gRPC? Okay, one thing you need to focus is the output which it comes. We'll see that in the Blazor app, but as of now, we will enable this and we'll start talking. Okay. So let's quickly go in here and we have to expose. Let's do the mistakes. Again, let's do the mistakes and then learn from that so that we'll remember it for longer time. And we'll go to this one, and all we have to do is I want to expose. We have to enable this, the endpoints, the cores. So let's do that cores first. I'll come into this one and enable the cores here. Okay, and that's one thing. And let me remove this unused usings. For some reason it troubles me. Okay, so after that what we have to do is we need to come and between this routing and cars we need to add that. So I am adding it here. Okay, and then next thing is first we will enable gRPC web only for this one and come back and do this little later. It will not take much time. We'll just copy paste few things, and there are few things which we have to discuss. Okay, there you go. My friend has showed up. I love that. Okay, so the moment you do this gRPC web, it's not able to find this NuGet package. Okay, so we have to steal that NuGet package. This is the one. So we need to have these NuGet package come back here and add this entry. And okay, it did the restoration. I think. Come on. Hey.
Hey, Vishwa,
Okay.
just a quick time check. We're almost there. Just 3 to 5 minutes max. Okay.
Oh yeah, sure. I'll be done. I'll be done before that.
Sure.
Cool. So now that this gRPC web also we enabled it, so I will go quickly execute this guy, and I'll quickly execute this guy, and oh that it's somewhere I'm executing it, so that's the reason it's this one. Okay. So now let me execute this gRPC server. And we can see one more difference is if you see from the previous thing, when you hit a particular route, it shows the difference whether the route is coming from the gRPC channel or the route is coming from the gRPC web channel. Okay, so the gRPC server is there. Now let's switch to the Blazor guy. The gRPC web we have enabled. Now let's switch to the Blazor guy. And this Blazor, let me take this and stop it, and I can run the server here. I can run the server here, and let me close this guy, and you can see this. There is a pretty simple hello world of this Blazor. And what I do is I will drop in all those files so that we can make it real quick. Because as Nish has already highlighted, you can compare this with you can compare this with the web forms which we used to create previously. So I am dropping all these things so that you can quickly check. I want everyone to watch this demo. So I'm dropping in all those files. And after that is done, I will go and steal some other thing if it is required. I think the web root, I have to take the app settings, and I'll copy that app settings also so that we can see this everything in one shot. Okay, app settings is there. Okay, cool. So let's come back here and spend 1 minute time real quick. If you see this, the Blazor part. This one I didn't modify. This is having the mix of markup as well as the code. But you can do this way. You can create a new partial class and do all the code behind thing or the C# stuff here, and do only the razor markup here. Okay, so similarly, this is the one which is going and talking to the hello world of the greeter, and this guy is going and talking to the gRPC web. that's coming through the gRPC web channel, and this Razor page will go and talk to the REST API. Okay, let me fix the NuGet packages and the startup class. I think we are good to go to test our final demo. Okay, so let me bring in all these packages from here in one shot. Then I'll remove the one which is not needed real quick. Okay, these three things are already there, the same versions. Okay. Okay, cool. That's done. And let me steal all these things also at the same time instead of doing it in multiple rounds. Let me speed up the process and okay, we'll include this also here. All the things which without doing that, I'm doing short circuit so that we'll get everything in one stretch. And then I will quickly go into the program.cs and we'll modify one couple of lines and we can see the demo. And here is the one we have to do two things. We will hook up the service, the gRPC service here. It's a single code base and multiple channels are coming in through this one. Okay, I think we are pretty much there. Only one thing is I thought of to do it in a two-step process, but I will go and enable this gRPC for the college service also, so that we don't need to come and do a mistake and learn it. And that's done. And the other thing is we have to enable the web API cores, which we wantedly left there. And I'll come in here and let me speed up. Okay, so that cars has been enabled there, and allow this cars here after the routing before authorization. Perfect. So we are almost there. Let me build it once and we'll see the demo. Did I switch it off? Yep, all these things are switched off. Let me do it so that we'll see in one demo, we'll see all how it talks to the hello world of gRPC, how it talks to the web API, how it talks to the gRPC, which internally talks to the SQL server. Crossing my fingers that it will build and it will run. Oh, Jesus, it already failed. Okay, no problem. That's fine. gRPC web handler, I think I need to bring in some NuGets. Okay, that's good. And this gRPC channel, that's good. Okay, and anything else, it failed it. Okay, cool then. So I think this time it will go through. Let me do a quick check into this pages here. These are the Razor pages. There are no squigglies here. There is no squigglies here, and there are no squigglies here. Good. Okay, so there are no squigglies here. Okay, this is running in 502. Let me check that guy for a moment. This web API, it's running in 504. Okay, that is running in 504. Okay, cool. Now we are ready. So let me go and enable the run the gRPC from here. .NET run, and there's another terminal which I'm .NET run. This is the REST web API, and in this terminal we are running the gRPC. So there are two things they are running in. So let's execute this WASM. And just 2 minutes, Swamy. I'm done. I just want to showcase this demo. Uh, showcase this demo. Right. So let it come. So it's here, and the server is here. Okay. So see this. It made the call. It tells the channel. So it hit it through the gRPC web. So when you come in and see this, this is coming from the gRPC web, and I need to steal the navigation. So that was missing. So that was missing. So just give me a moment. I'll steal that navigation piece. Shade component. Okay, the main layout and the navigation piece. Let me steal it. So inside this one, so that I enabled this navigation to that. Okay, so let me quickly go in here, cd. Okay, this is the one. So dir/ed/d cd the console client and .NET run. If I execute this, and we can see this, it mentions that it has uh, completed completed this endpoint because we've added the gRPC there. Okay, it says that gRPC. It's not telling that gRPC web because the channel which we are coming is the old channel where the console app, it was talking to the gRPC in a old fashion. It's not coming through the web channel. Now, if you see the here where we hit it, it is coming through the gRPC web channel. That's one key difference uh, which we need to understand. And let me execute this so that we'll again see this bringing in the content from gRPC web API and those two channels also. Okay, so that means we have covered everything. All these things we have covered. So let's wait in here. So gRPC web, the hello world has come, and now I'm okay. So what did I do? 1 second. Let me stop this. 1 second. Let me stop this. 1 second. I'm sorry. Let me stop all these things. I think somewhere the reference it is holding. Okay, this was the thing I assume. It didn't allow me to. Okay, cool. Let me quickly come back here and go in the Razor imports. I forgot that Razor imports also. I need to take that Razor imports from here. Let me go grab this from here. 1 second. Razor imports. I have to download these two. Let me go here. Okay, so Razor imports is there, and inside the shared, I have the navigation menu, and the navigation menu is there, and it is going and telling that Professor gRPC, and that you will highlight it here as the endpoints there, and you can see with the Razor like what is the route it is doing. Okay, let me start this real quick. I can show only these two things: web API .NET run. That's the web API, and .NET run. That's the gRPC. And let's wait. Okay, it will come. Okay, so now you can see this. Let me do a Control-Shift-I and go to the network tab, and you can see in when I go, it goes and calls this say hello, and when I click on this web API, it goes and brings in the professor, and you can see that the endpoint, it is going on 504. It is hitting the API, and let's keep this guy alive. So the previous request was say hello. Now let's come back and hit this gRPC, and that's this guy. You can see this, the gRPC college. Let me have this extra space. You can see this, the college API gRPC service get all professors. That means we are hitting this endpoint here. See this, the college API, and that's coming through the this channel. What is the channel that's coming through this gRPC web channel? So 130 seconds more. I will close this. Yeah, this is a web client. I think I still have this. If I go and do this here I'm not coming through the web channel. I'm coming through the gRPC channel. Is it running or what? Okay, so that's okay. I just stopped it. I'll take not more than 30 seconds so that we can see the difference in which channel you are coming. Either you're coming through this channel or new professor. I said no. So we can come and see that difference also, whether you're coming through the gRPC channel or whether you're coming through the regular channel. The only difference is it says that request finished for application slash gRPC or request finished for application slash gRPC slash web. So that's it from the demo perspective.